Miss Clark, Mr. Idelson, Commissioner Seelig, Mr. Dupay, the Hall of Famers. First, I would like to congratulate Andre and Whitey on their election to the Hall of Fame, and to Bill and John for their tremendous honor in receiving the Writer and Broadcaster Award. Second, I want to acknowledge and congratulate every umpire from Little League to the major leagues. Your hard work and your love of the game. This is our day. And I'm standing here representing you. I realize that for many of you, this may be the only time in your life you will hear from a major league umpire. So there are a few things I would like to share with you. I've heard it said that umpires are a necessary evil. Well, we are necessary, but we are not evil. We are hard-working and dedicated people whose primary interest is to make sure the game is played fairly. We are the integrity of the game. It was an honor for me to officiate sports at any level. I worked Little League, Pony League, Colt League, Junior American Legion, junior high school softball, junior varsity high school, Bobby Sox, junior college, service ball, minor league, and Major League Baseball. Additionally, I also worked basketball up to the professional ranks and football games up to the major college. In fact, I may be the only and the first and only American Basketball Association and American Basketball League official who made it into baseball's Hall of Fame. How many guys have called a foul on Dr. J and a foul ball on Doc Gooden? I officiated games with slam dunks and grand slams. I was there for a signature Willie Mays basket catch and a Rick Barry signature basket. I called a double dribble at the Oakland Basketball Coliseum and a double play at the Oakland A's Baseball Coliseum. I grew up in the small agricultural town of El Centro, California. Dad umpired for the old Class D Sunset League in El Centro. They were called the Imperials. And he did it as an alternate. I was the bat boy, and my mom ran the concessions. Dad also umpired for the high schools, umpiring for all four of his sons. We all played baseball. He umpired for all of us. The opposing coaches would ask for Pop Harvey to work home plate. It was a great compliment to his fairness. Dad was my idol. Before I joined professional baseball, I started umpiring in San Diego, California. I worked 155 games in a 5-month season for 3 years in a row. I was working triple headers on Saturday and double headers on Sunday. I remembered that while watching Don Larson throw his perfect game on TV, I told the guys with me that I was going to go into professional umpiring, and someday they would be watching me on TV. They laughed me out of the room. 11 years later, they were watching me on TV working my World Series plate job. In Detroit, you must remember and make promises to yourself and work to make them come true. One time after I worked a semi-pro game, a man came up to me and handed me his card, introduced himself as the head for the Milwaukee Brewers, head scout. He asked if I had ever thought of turning pro. I told him I had written many letters trying to get a job with no answer, and I couldn't afford to go to umpire school. He said, "If I get you a job, will you take it?" And I said, "Certainly." About a week and a half later, I got a telegram stating that I was going to work in the California State League. And that was the beginning of my professional career. You never know when an opportunity will present itself, and you always need to be ready. Ready to do your best. I worked the Cal State League for 3 years. Then the Pacific Coast League, AAA ball for 1 year, and then I umpired for the supervisor of the National League named Fred Flagg, who signed me to the National League program. At that time, I was the only man to go from Class C ball to 1 year in AAA baseball to the major leagues. It won't be done again, as there is no longer C-ball. There are a few people along the way who guided me and shared their wisdom. My dad, Hal Harvey, who gave me my umpiring lessons. My mom, Margaret, who taught me the value of hard work. My high school coach, Bob Farrell, who taught me to learn one new thing every day. He told me I had less talent, but more desire than anyone he knew. Not to win, lose, or draw, but to compete. My college coach, Charlie Smith, who taught me the true love of the game. My first crew chief, Hall of Famer Al Barlick, who taught me you'd better know the rules. My second crew chief, Hall of Famer Jocko Conlon, who taught me the fun of umpiring. Love that old man. My third crew chief, Shag Crawford, who to this day was the best umpire I ever knew, and who belongs in the Hall of Fame, and who taught me and many more that 110% is not enough to give to the game. And Andy Strasburg, for his support the last 12 years. I studied my rule book 2 hours a day for every day that I worked in the minor leagues. 2 hours every day, and I never missed. All you players, managers, umpires, broadcasters, writers, at any level, I suggest you know the rules, the real rules, not the made-up kind. I recall a situation in which Buddy Kerr, the former New York Giants second shortstop and second baseman, was managing at Fresno in 1960, and I was umpiring. He had a runner at second base. The pitcher went into a stretch, and about that time, he looked back to the runner. The runner broke for third base. The pitcher stepped towards third, threw the ball there. However, the base runner reversed, dove back into second base, and I called him safe. Out came Buddy. He said, "Harvey, I've got you. I've got you." I said, "Oh, really, Buddy?" By now, it's getting really loud. He said, "A pitcher cannot throw to an unoccupied base. It's a balk." I said softly, "Buddy, I'm so proud of you." It got rather quiet. Now Buddy gets that funny look on his face and said, "What do you mean?" I said, "To think that someone in this godforsaken league is studying the rules besides me. That pleases me so much." Buddy replied, "Don't give me that, Harv. It's a balk." I told him rather softly, "I know the rules, Buddy. You're thinking of Rule 8.05, sections A to M, 13 ways to balk. And you're speaking specifically of 8.05D, which states a man cannot throw to an unoccupied base." You should have looked further. There's a comma there. And it says, "except for the express purpose of making a play." And where was the runner going, Buddy? Curdy said, "Damn it, Harvey, you got me again." You have to remember that this was only my second year in the league. Second year of umpiring professional ball. That's how good I was, and that's how important it is to know the rules. It will get you out of so many arguments. During the season, baseball was the most important thing in my life. It demanded that I travel constantly, every 3 to 4 days, going to a different city. There are no homestands for an umpire. It kept me from my family for the whole season, and they felt the sacrifice as much as I did. You have to realize that my average for being home and sleeping in my own bed from 1962 to 1968 was 3 nights a season, because we didn't live in a major league city. I'd fly into San Diego, get my wife and family, and drive to L.A., work 3 games. Then my wife would drive the kids home, and I would catch an airplane to the next city. My wife kept a picture of me by the phone so that when I called, the boys could see my face. In 1969, the Padres came to San Diego, and then I averaged about 9 nights a season at home. 9 nights in 7 months. Sacrifice can be physical as well as mental. In my first year umpiring in the major leagues, I was working the plate. Bob Gibson was pitching, and the catcher missed. It caromed up under my mask and broke off 2 teeth, which I spit on the ground. Shag Crawford came up, said, "You're bleeding. What's wrong with you?" When I told him what happened, he said I should have somebody look at it. I told him I might as well finish the ball game. I'll have somebody look at it tomorrow. The next day, I went to a dentist. He told me I would have to take time off so he could work on the dental work. But I said no. So he gave me a shot to stop the bleeding, and I went on my way. 2 months later, it was infected. So I went to another dentist. He punched a hole in it and then packed it with cotton. But I kept bleeding. So finally, I just stuffed some chewing tobacco into it. Now I have the game of the week. Giants against Pittsburgh. And I've got the plate. At the same time, my wife, out in California, is on her way to the hospital to have our first child. That in those times, we weren't allowed to go home for childbirth. After the game, I found out we had a son. I didn't get to see him until he was 2 weeks old. I respect the umpires I worked with throughout my career, and I respect the ones working today. My only ambition has been to improve the profession of umpiring. I've tried to mentor the people I have worked with, teaching them everything I know about the game. I have challenged each and every one of them to be better than I. And finally, my family. They have been my rock. I always knew I could count on them. They have backed me unconditionally. One time, I was on the road for 10 straight weeks, and all I got from them was their love. My sons have made me proud, and my wife has been my best friend. We will celebrate our 50th anniversary in September, being together. And there's my extended family of brothers, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nephews, nieces, in-laws, and my family of friends who have come to celebrate with me this great honor. I want to thank everyone connected to the Hall of Fame. They have made this an enjoyable and incredible experience for my family, friends, and me. I also want to thank the National League for their support, and I will never forget the brotherhood of my fellow umpires. Years ago, my dad told me that someday I would wake up and realize what I had achieved. Today, I woke up in Cooperstown. Now I know what he meant. As we all know, Cooperstown is the home of baseball. One of the many duties of the home plate umpire is to make sure that the runner touches home. Well, if you're a true baseball fan, you need to visit Cooperstown. This is home. And you need to promise yourself that you'll touch home before the end of the game. I'll be watching to make sure you do. Thank you.
What an emotional speech from Doug Harvey, the ninth umpire, celebrated here in the halls at Cooperstown.
I'll tell you what, when you first heard that it was going to be taped and played back, you're wondering, how is this going to come across? Well, you see it now. What an impact. And he's got a few more words to say right now.
It's too hot out there. Sit down. I'll be quick. I'm not going to hold you long. I want you to notice that I stopped the rain. God bless all of you. I couldn't have had a nicer time. I want you, first of all, Joy, would you just stand up? This has been my lady. But I've taken enough time. You know that I love all umpires. I love all the fans. Thank you very much.